Every single day I get a comment like this one. Some nameless, faceless account tells me that my job is going to be obsolete pretty soon because of AI, so I should enjoy it while it lasts. But this comment is extra icky. This man literally took something that's a part of me without my consent. And not only does he just not see a problem with it, he seems pretty jovial about it. Now, I've been a voice actor since I was 6 years old. That's when I got my first job at a radio station here in San Diego. And I worked locally and consistently on and off until I was about in my mid-20s when I went full-time in late 2016. That means I've been doing this for almost 30 years. What I'm trying to say is I'm not new at this. I've been working in this industry for a long time and I've seen a lot of massive changes over the years. Back in the 90s when I was in elementary school, you pretty much had to live in LA, New York, or Atlanta if you wanted any kind of steady career as a voice actor. I grew up in San Diego, so I was really lucky because I had pretty consistent work in commercials, theater, and independent films. I also wasn't too far away from LA if I booked a job in Burbank that required me to go up there on the weekend. I worked locally but steadily on a part-time basis. When I went full-time in 2016, a lot of the reason I was able to do that was because technology had evolved to the point that voice actors could actually work from home. I've been working from home for almost 10 years now. Literally all of my job is online. That includes the jobs that I do that require non-disclosure agreements, so when I send those audio files, I need to know that they're going to be safe. One of the ways I'm able to do that is by using a VPN through Surfshark. A Surfshark VPN allows me to keep my location and download history private by encrypting all internet traffic so I can safely send or receive sensitive information, like voiceover yet to be released in animated shows or commercials. I also run my entire business online, so Surfshark's other features that protect my devices against viruses and keep my emails and other sensitive data safe gives me a huge amount of peace of mind. Enter coupon code Tawny for an extra 4 months free at surfshark.com/Tawny. And hey, if you're still not sure, just know that Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. So give it a try and let me know what you think. So working from home is amazing. Suddenly I was able to record all of my auditions from this little remodeled closet in my home. And I was able to connect with a client remotely once I booked the job. I could do absolutely everything without needing to leave my home, which as an introvert felt like I had just won the lottery. But what this also meant was now there was more competition than ever before. Literally anyone in the world could build themselves an in-home studio and call themselves a voice actor. And a lot of these people had a ton of money to spend on the best gear and the best classes with the top coaches. It was also during this time that pay-to-play came onto the scene. If you're unfamiliar with the phrase pay-to-play, it's exactly what it sounds like. You pay to access auditions. Voice seekers upload the scripts to their projects onto these websites, and literally thousands and thousands of actors will pay a monthly subscription fee to access these auditions and hopefully book the job. The issue with these sites is that you're not only competing against so many other really talented actors, you're also not always getting paid very well when you do book the job. It was actually a huge controversy for one particular website in 2015 when voice seekers and talents began to put 2 and 2 together and realize that the company had been funneling the clients' budgets into their own bank accounts. This particular site's ethics aside, there's this common practice with many pay-to-play sites where they have various subscription levels, and some of the most expensive options have talent paying thousands of dollars a year so they get the auditions first. That means the voice actors paying lower subscription fees are auditioning much later after highly experienced and skilled individuals have already turned in their own submissions days, if not weeks earlier. In other words, unless you're paying upwards of $4,000 a year for the privilege to access these auditions, you're probably not going to book much on these sites. Besides this change in technology, there's also been 2 massive tone changes that I've seen personally happen in voice acting that have really shaken up the industry. The first one was when we went from something we call an announcery read to a conversational read in about 2009-ish. That was when John Krasinski started doing voiceover ads for Carnival Cruise and Esurance.
He's not tucking in his shirt. He's not checking messages every 9 seconds. And now this?
That changed everything. In many but not all contexts, an announcery read just means something that doesn't sound natural. It sounds performative and fake, like only at McDonald's, or tired of losing cell service, or I'm a busy mom on the go. I don't have time to make dinner for my family. Basically, it just sounds really unnatural, very performative. Nobody goes around talking like this. But if I were to read those same lines in a John Krasinski conversational tone, they would sound different. They might sound something like this: only at McDonald's. Tired of losing cell service? Or, I'm a busy mom on the go. I don't have time to be making dinner for my family. And I think this change happened because a lot of people were just really tired of feeling sold to. We have been so inundated with ads for so long, we immediately tune out when we hear that voice. The announcer voice used to be very attention-grabbing, but now it's like a cue to change the channel or swipe. It became ineffective, so advertisers started looking for something else. They started looking for something that sounded more realistic. Now, I say more realistic because nobody actually talks the way conversational reads sound. A lot of people don't even call that particular style conversational anymore. They call it chatty because that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like that fake retail voice. It sounds like what you might call your work voice. It's a tone we're all very hyper-aware of now, in my opinion, because of social media. Younger generations especially can tell when something is very fake and performative, so we've switched up the tone again, and now in the 2020s, advertisers are going for something called detached. Detached just sounds like you're talking to somebody while you're mindlessly scrolling through your phone. It's hyper-realistic. This is how people actually talk to each other. So that's why they're using it now in ads, because it doesn't actually sound like an ad. And this has been a big problem for a lot of, not every, but a lot of voice actors who got their start in the 20th century. One of the reasons they're having trouble is because they got very comfortable in their industry and they stopped paying attention to what was going on. It's absolutely essential to always take classes as a voice actor no matter how long you've been doing it, and to also pay attention to the trends and what's going on in your own industry. You need to consume current media that is featuring all of these changes and trends so that you're aware of them and you can apply them to your own work. When these delivery tones changed, it caught a lot of people off guard and they stopped booking work. Some people just hated the new style and they simply wanted nothing to do with it. So in between home studios, pay-to-play sites, tone changes, a lot of voice actors either stopped booking work or just quit. But others adapted and evolved as things changed. Now the industry is facing another big change with AI voices. It caught a lot of people off guard, which honestly kind of surprises me because I was preparing for this when I went full-time back in 2016. It's actually one of the reasons I started creating content. I knew that if I had an audience, that would give me desirability when it came to casting. It's not really a secret anymore that casting directors are asking how many followers actors have, and voice acting isn't an exception. We get asked too. A lot of voice actors also said for years and years that they weren't worried about AI because the technology wasn't good. AI could never do what they could do. It couldn't emote, and it just didn't sound good. But that's not how machine learning works. Technology only gets better over time. I don't know if these people were in denial or they simply didn't know this. Today, AI voices are really good, and they're only getting better. There isn't a lot synthetic voices can't do, and some are even learning how to take direction. Now, besides all this, some people are going to bring up the ethical side of things. Many voice seekers claimed that they would never use AI because they didn't agree with it ethically or they just didn't trust it. The thing is, everyone is always very untrusting of technology until they get used to it. I'm old enough now to remember when online banking first became a thing, like 10 or 15 years ago. People thought it was absolutely unhinged to be having that information readily available on the internet, but those same people nowadays are logging in on their phone without a second thought. Why? It's convenient. And convenience and money are pretty convincing things when it comes to bending your morals. So does that mean that it's over for everyone and the machines are going to take all of our jobs, starting with mine? Maybe, but maybe not. The same technology that's put our jobs into jeopardy can actually be used to protect our likeness and voices. This guy who claims that he's cloned my voice for my videos, if he does anything with that publicly, there's now technology that's being developed that will, in layman's terms, detect my voice patterns and alert me when my voice is being used. Then at that point, all I need to do is call my lawyer, who will draft a cease and desist letter at the very least and get the guy to pay for damages and lost wages at the very most. And the North American Association of Voice Actors, or NAVA, has been instrumental in working to give voice actors better protections. In fact, in late 2023, NAVA met legislators in Washington, D.C. to advocate for AI laws that give voice actors control of how and when their voices are used. And the No AI Fraud Act is a bill that was just introduced in the House of Representatives that seeks to establish a federal framework to protect Americans' individual right to their likeness and voice against AI-generated fakes and forgeries. So while I don't think it's possible to simply stop AI in its progression, I do think that we can regulate it. And I truly think there's a very good chance that that's what'll happen. There will be safeguards that'll be put in place to deter from theft in the virtual world the same way that we do in the real world. It's very similar to how retail stores will put anti-theft measures into place in order to deter from shoplifting. It's also very similar to how we chain our bikes to bike racks to prevent them from being stolen, or how we'll lock up our valuables in our home. And people still figure out ways to get around these anti-theft protections. Things still get stolen, absolutely. I don't think anything will ever be 100% secure. But I also don't think that we shouldn't try for improvement just because we can't reach perfection. So, What can you do to help? Well, for one, you cannot be a dick like this guy and just outright steal from people because you think it gives you a personality. The other thing you can do is sign this letter in support of voiceover protections on Nava's website. The full link is below in my description. So am I worried about losing my job? No. This has actually been my best year yet. If there's one thing I've been able to do in my life, it's adapt to change. Honestly, it's part of being self-employed regardless of what industry you're in. I'd even go so far to say that being able to adapt with change is just part of being human. I'd even go further than that and say that I'm very, very cautious of people who are not into adapting to change, who resist change, you know, people who want to conserve things. I mean, I guess, yeah, voice acting might be coming to an end, but just in the sense of how we know it to be in this moment in time. It's really easy to imagine that candle makers were really nervous when electricity started to become the main way that people were lighting their home. Likewise, I think it's entirely possible that people who made their living in some capacity using horses for transportation were really stressed out when people started moving on to predominantly cars. And all ethics aside, I think we all know at this point that technology is not going to stop evolving and advancing just because we want it to. So I think our best bet is to learn how to work with these advancements and push for regulation that benefits everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to TawnyVoice.com members whose donations make videos like this possible. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, and I'll see you next time.